Welcome back. Democrats remain focused on Russian collusion with a new resolution condemning the president's performance in Helsinki.
1 week ago, President Trump sold out our democracy. We cannot appear to endorse what the president is doing by our silence.
The Helsinki summit really brought to a head an entirely new and destructive direction that Donald Trump would bring this country.
But is this type of strategy actually hurting Democrats with the American people? Here now to weigh in is Republican strategist Neiweem. Thank you for joining us this morning, Chris. We appreciate it.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Before we dive into what this is doing to the Democrats, I'm curious what this is doing to folks in the middle right now who are confused, independents, people who don't know which side they're leaning on. What is that messaging doing?
Well, I think that leaves them in a position to look for some real leadership out there. I mean, this is just sort of exhausting. I mean, you saw the press conference. I mean, they're kind of struggling to get the words out. It's a very, I think Democrats are confused on what their message is going to be besides just anti-Trump. It doesn't work because he just keeps winning. He's got much higher energy and he's got a vision and he's substantive. So I think it's tough for those folks. I think they should probably maybe think about going over and voting for the president.
You know, you've got this investigation, which has been going on forever now, and it's leaked like crazy in every other part of Washington in the last 18 months. You haven't seen any leaks regarding collusion, but then the president goes to Helsinki and is rather nice to Vladimir Putin, and that throws everything off, and it feeds the flames of this narrative.
Well, look, the president has a very unique style, and it's worked very strong for him. I mean, he just goes straight to the voters. He doesn't compromise what he thinks is right, and he's focused on substance. He's delivered for the military. He's delivered for our vets. He's getting things done. And so, just the other day, we were talking about this, Rob. We were debating, and, you asked a question to our guest who just never answered the question about this. I mean, there's a lot of, dodging in that particular precinct. So I think the president's got a unique style, but it's working, and I think he should just double down and keep going in that direction.
I guess it's understandable in looking back at Helsinki. It is still fresh in our minds for some people to say, well, look, you've been really tough on North Korea. You're being really tough on Iran. Publicly, it didn't appear that the president was really tough on Vladimir Putin. Do you think the Democrats, perhaps maybe a different messaging tactic would work?
Well, I don't know. I think the president is sizing up Vladimir Putin. I mean, look, you've got to be in the arena. You've got to be in the ring with your opponent to understand where they're at mentally and to look them in the eye. I mean, you hear, mixed martial artists and boxers and athletes talk about that all the time. He's in the ring with him, and he's been putting his agenda forward. I think we need to focus on the substance and look at what we're getting out of things in terms of North Korea, concessions that are being made. If you look at the substance, I think the president just tends to win every time.
It seems that he does have a healthy respect for Vladimir Putin, and I think he respects strength. And Vladimir Putin, if nothing else, is a very strong leader for the Russian people. That is for certain. Could this be as simple as the president, again, the conflation between the Russia meddling and the Russia collusion, how those two have become one? Is that what really threatens the president here? Is that why he hates the Russia investigation in all facets?
Well, look, it's the optics. I mean, it's one of those things where you just keep repeating, repeating a story, and then all of a sudden, people, it starts to become true. I think that you stated it well, Rob. I mean, look, Vladimir Putin's a judo player, a sambo guy. I mean, he's a tough guy, and I think when it comes to someone that's like that, you need to be aggressive with him. And I think that there's a lot more, psychological warfare going on here. And I think that, the president's been putting, our best interests forward in terms of results. And I think that that's what we need to focus on and not get lost in these things. And the Democrats is like Groundhog Day, but instead of Bill Murray, they don't have talent. They're not funny. It's just sort of lame and boring, and they can barely get the words out at those press conferences. It's kind of ridiculous and boring.
It's a good movie. Thank you, Chris.
Chris, thanks.
With you.
A Fox News alert now.